Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hey everyone, welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, the show where you give us your questions, often property related, but sometimes delves into economics and business. We don't mind, but what we do require you to do is actually submit your questions. So Rob, should we give everyone a reminder?
Oh yeah, very simple. All you've got to do is go to propertyhub.net/ask. That's it. Well, it's not X. Going there isn't going to do the job. You have to go there. Then you have to leave us a voicemail, or you have to fill in a little form to send us a written question for the Sunday Times. But it all starts by going to propertyhub.net/ask, which is exactly what Johnny has done.
Hi, Rob and Rob. My name's Johnny from Leighton Buzzard. I've been listening to your podcast for about a year now. I really wished I'd tuned in a bit earlier. We have a couple of properties in London that we're looking to sell so that we can reconfigure a portfolio in areas that have probably better prospect for a property investment. So looking at areas such as North England and Midlands. Now, a friend of mine recently put down a large deposit for an apartment in the north based on plans for a new development. Turns out it was a big scam and the developer went bust. It's all a bit messy now as solicitors are now suing each other. So my question is, how do I ensure I can trust a developer when buying off plan? And what kind of due diligence should I be doing to avoid this from happening to me? Thanks very much.
Johnny, bravo, great question. Right, let's help. Sorry, couldn't help myself, Johnny. So let's help you out, but now you've had to endure another one of my terrible jokes. So you're interested in off-plan, but you don't want to lose all your money. Turns out I'm in the same camp, Johnny. I don't want to do that either. Unfortunately, it happens more than it should. And the reason why it happens more than it should is because the stuff you see heavily advertised is often the most risky type of stuff. So when you go on Rightmove or you see adverts targeting you with developments that look super shiny and off-plan in areas that you'd love to invest in, they're the ones that I've seen go wrong the most often, because it's just got multiple agents selling them, not at a discount, just selling them, and there's large commissions involved for those agents. Now, if they've earned that commission, that's fine. But what they may not be doing is the due diligence that's required, and you have to do your own, which you should do anyway. Even if you're working with a reputable business, you should always do your own due diligence. But there's a few warning signs. If you see big deposits, so 25, 30, 35, 40%, I've even seen 50% deposits, don't go near it. Just don't go anywhere near it. Even if this person selling it says it's fully protected. Because often it's not. Because what happens is they insist you use their solicitor, their recommended solicitor for that transaction. And when I say their, I mean the developer. So the developer has their own solicitor, but then they also have the solicitor that they want you to use on the other side. And that solicitor is happy to sign off on the way it's protected. But often the protection is weak, very, very weak. And that's what's gone wrong in so many cases. Now, at Property Hub Invest, I think we've had one off-plan deal go wrong. And that is considering we've sold hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds worth of property. So one, for all the years we've been running, which is about 14, isn't too bad. I wish it was zero, but it is one. And I want to be honest with everyone listening, that's happened. But what we did right is there was only a 10% deposit, and the deposit was fully protected. And that's what's important. You can buy off-plan. You absolutely can. But normally, you shouldn't go beyond 10% deposit. I personally would consider something with Property Hub Invest beyond 10% if it was protected to a level that I was happy with, but we've not done that for a long, long, long time. So we normally stick with 10% because it's harder to protect anything beyond 10%. And that 10% deposit either needs to be insurance-backed or held in escrow. Pretty much any other protection isn't worthwhile. So sometimes you see, that you put a charge on the land, another variant of that. Just ignore that, because the chances of you being first in line to collect that debt is close to zero. The people who've lent on the site, the people who financed the developer, get their money first, and then you are further down the queue, the pecking order. So look for either insurance-backed deposits or it being held in escrow, and use an independent solicitor. If you do all those things, then you will probably be fine. And there is wonderful opportunities with off-plan that we talked about before. The fact that you can put just 10% down and hold 100% of an asset, control 100% of an asset, is incredible, because if the property goes up by just 5% during the off-plan period, in effect, you've made a 50% return. So there's loads of reasons to consider off-plan. You just need to tread carefully. Good luck, Johnny.
I wish that answer could just be played to everyone who's starting out in property, because just by following that advice, all of the horror stories that you hear could be completely avoided. So Johnny, please listen to Rob's advice. Okay, let's move on to our next one now. This one is from Gary.
Hello, you two. I'm a second-time caller, so thanks for all the lovely advice. This question today is, do I really need a solicitor to look through all of my mortgages for my limited company? Do I really need my mortgage breaking down the small print presented to me on the mortgage? I mean, they're straightforward, aren't they?
Gary, thank you for the question. Now, what you seem to be referring to here is the need for independent legal advice, or ILA. And this is specific to arranging mortgages for limited companies. So when you say, do you need a solicitor? Do you need a solicitor to act for you in the purchase of a property? Yes, of course you do. Do you need a solicitor to act for you when you're taking out a mortgage? Yes, you do. But the ILA is a requirement from the lender, if you're borrowing as a limited company, that another solicitor makes you aware of the risks and liabilities to you as an individual. So the idea is it's the company that's borrowing, but you as the director of the company will normally be giving a personal guarantee, and they want to make sure that you as an individual, separate from the company entity, have been advised and have been advised independently. Now, do you need this information read out to you? No, you don't. Must you though, because the lender insists on it? Yes. So it's just one of those annoyances that you get from transacting in property, where you have to spend 10 or 15 minutes having small print read out to you. You know it's pointless. The solicitor knows it's pointless. You end up paying a couple of £100 for it, but it's just part of the process. Now, as the limited company market has become more mature, this has become easier, because remember, the solicitor that you're using for the main purchase can't do this. It has to be someone independent. So you used to have to go and find someone who would meet with you in person and do all this nonsense. Now there are services that have popped up online that specifically do this. So if you search for something like ILA service, you will find options. You can do it over Zoom, and it's all pretty straightforward. We were talking about this just before recording though, and I didn't know, this is new information to me, that if you do that, sometimes your solicitor will then charge you again for reading through the check that the other solicitor did. So as with many legal things, where does it end? Everyone's just checking everyone else's work and charging you for it. It's the straightforward answer to your question, Gary, is you don't need it for your benefit, but you do need it for the lender's benefit. So it's just one of those things that you've got to do.
Well, thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Gary, for your questions. And thank you for listening. Hopefully you've benefited from those questions as well. You know what else you'll benefit from? Joining us on Thursday for the Property Podcast. And of course, we'll be back smiling at you in the Sunday Times in the home section, where we answer more of your questions. And you know what? We'll also be back same time, same place next week, doing Ask Rob and Rob. So until those wonderful events occur, take care, have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.